So I realized yesterday that I started this channel and started this regular car vlog almost a year ago. I think it was right at the end of December or right at the beginning of January. But yeah, just about. I need to check the creation date, but I'm just about on a year with Possibly Jordan. And there's that, and then there is Emily. You had your vlog about digital media not existing, and I think you were kind of like getting a little bit into the anxiety that causes, and all of that is just a really good segue, good timing for this. I had a little bit of a meltdown last night, and I mean it's the stress at work. Sam was dropping stuff off at the office for her boss, and she wanted to take me to dinner. And I mean, leaving the office, I was totally fine. Yesterday was another very busy day, very stressful day, but for all intents and purposes, I was fine. We left the office first aiming for this one restaurant downtown, and there was this crazy traffic. Or she was following me. We didn't go in one car. We were in two, obviously. There's crazy traffic on my usual route, and I was like, this is not normal. So I pulled a U-turn, just went to the other restaurant. It was on the other side of town. Two different sides of towns. Either way, it was going to take 20-30 minutes to get to these restaurants, and it was just rush hour traffic. And kind of one of the frustrating things here is that this week after this period of time after Thanksgiving, the roads have been kind of quiet at the rush hour times, or maybe I've just been lucky. But all of a sudden, last night, everybody was out and all the traffic was out, and I had the iPod going, so I had music, but it was like kept having to skip forward. I didn't want to listen to any of the tracks. I mean, it was just a lot of traffic, and it was sitting in the car for 30 minutes just to try to get to this restaurant. And this anxiety was building up inside of me, and it was the same kind of anxiety I get when I'm go to a store and it's jam-packed, loud, crowded places. So I figured, yes, let me turn the music up, try to break and the thing is, the anxiety builds, and then that fuels the neurosis, and then it's this cycle of internal basically. And when I am out and about with Sam and she wants to, okay, that's why I have the iPod and the headphones, put those in my ears and have that distraction. So I have the music going and I crank that up really loud, and I'm like, I can cope with this, trying to get to this restaurant, and I'm fine. I'm getting to the restaurant. Just got to get to the restaurant and we'll be fine. So just got to get there, got to get out of this traffic and be done. And we make the turn. We're getting to the restaurant. There's a bus in the turn lane, picking up, dropping off, whatever. So I go past the bus thinking I can make the next turn. And I make the next turn, and it's the other restaurant. It's another restaurant, and it's not the parking lots aren't connected. And it's just like, that was it. That was I mean, we could have parked and just walked the sidewalk over, but it's rude to park at one restaurant and go to the other, right? So we wanted to, we had to move. We had to leave. And in order to do that, you have to get back out onto this road, this 6-lane road, pull a U-turn, go to the next light, pull another U-turn, and then finally get into the restaurant. And it was just all of that all at once. And I got out of the car and I was like, we didn't even make that. I was like, Sam, I'm ready to go home. This is enough. And I at that point I'm filled with this, and I'm still filled with, this self-loathing and hatred, because why? This whole time I know I'm just driving through traffic. This shouldn't be that big of a deal. 99% of the time, when I'm behind the wheel, I'm a very patient person. 99% of the time. And furthermore, this is the first time that I've identified and acknowledged having the anxiety attack behind the wheel when I'm in traffic, and not just surrounded by people, but surrounded by all those cars. Didn't help that it was at night. I don't know why, but night in the traffic, and it was just... So I'm filled with this loathing, this self-loathing and self-hatred, and I'm driving, and we just left. We didn't go to the restaurant, and I feel like Sam's pissed at me, and I'm pissed at myself, and then I'm getting pissed at Sam for being pissed at, for me thinking that, for my assumption that she's pissed at me. And I get home, I just sit in the car for a few minutes to try to unwind and break the cycle in my head or something, and finally go inside. Because I know from the other experiences, when this happens to me, she has no idea what's going on. She and in the past, even when I didn't have it identified or acknowledged, she just thinks I'm being an asshole. So I apologize, Sam. I was in traffic, and there's my anxiety thing was happening, and I apologize. And then I didn't really talk to her for a few minutes, and she, I think she understands. I'm sure to the extent that she's capable of understanding, right? But it doesn't change the fact that I still feel like a complete ass. I feel like shit, because it's doubly so now that we're married, because I don't think that's fair to her, and I don't think, and that's not the person I want to be for her, and I can't drive in traffic without the anxiety flaring up, and I don't even know what to call it, because I don't feel like it's a panic attack. I don't feel like it's an anxiety attack. It's something else. Maybe it is, and I just don't care to acknowledge it that way. But yes, that was, and I feel like it was this convalescence. Convalescence? That's probably not the right word. This coalescence. Convalescence is when you're convalescing and not moving, right? This coalescence of work getting more and more stressful, and I think I am handling it. I think I'm doing okay. It's not bothering me that much. But when you have all of that, and you're not necessarily adequately prepared to cope with it, and you think you're coping with it, then all you need is that one straw to break the camel's back, and I think that's what happened last night. And the other part of it is, I'm sitting there in the traffic. This is the cycle. This is the neurosis. Sitting there in the traffic, and I just start thinking, okay, I'm spending 45 minutes in this traffic. I do this every night going home. I do this every morning. The drive to work is usually a little bit quicker, but that's all of a sudden what starts filling my head and circling my head, is that all this time being spent in the car every day, 2 times a day, all this time, and I am on this side of, and this is what it was last night, I'm on this side of town, and all I want to do is be on that side of town, and I have to get through all of this traffic to get over there, and then I have to do this every single day, and it just this cycle, this thing keeps going around, and it really kind of becomes asphyxiating a little bit. And I guess, yes, that's kind of what you call an anxiety attack. And that's why I have the iPod. That's why I have the music. That's why I have the podcasts. I don't know. I mean, I had the music going, but I should have just had a podcast going or something, and I didn't. And you know, I thought because I never thought I would have the anxiety in the car. That was never a consideration. That was never a reality to me. The iPod and the podcast and the music, all of that. That was just to keep myself quasi-sane, you know, and not to be bored out of my. It was a solution to the boredom of the drive. Never appreciating that boredom and that drive would eventually lead to the anxiety. I don't know. Fuck. That was that. That's what's happening. That's what is, and I'm not over it. I'm not over it. Obviously, but maybe this, and I can be over it, and I can move on. I just feel like I'm a shit. I don't feel like shit. I feel like I am a shit for this. Because why is that necessary? Why is that remotely necessary for me to sit in traffic and be so fucking uncomfortable that I can't function with my wife and go to dinner with my wife? Pretty fucking stupid. So that being said, Emily, talking about digital versus physical and how digital exists as ones and zeros somewhere. And I watched your vlog this morning, and what my takeaway from it was less about the physicality of media, and more about, because the only way your digital media, your photos, your videos and whatnot will not survive is if we do not have the social structure, and by that I mean the internet, the technological structure to sustain it. So essentially what you're afraid of, because I think, to me, the videos and photos and these digital creations, to me, first of all, that's natural. That is natural. It's the physical stuff that just doesn't make sense to me, because it's so, like, I got a I kind of lucked out and got a copy of the Steve Jobs biography from work, and it's this massive giant book, and I had this moment where I was looking at it on the table last night, and this massive Jobs biography, this massive stack of papers, hardcover stack of papers, is sitting on the table with the Nexus 7 sitting on top of it, and I was like, that is exactly why we are digital. Why digital makes sense to me. It's physical media is wasteful and silly. Although there is a permanence to it, somewhat. I'm not saying I don't understand you. I'm saying, I'm not saying I don't appreciate. I do. I understand. I appreciate. I just swing the other way as far as media goes. But your concern is more First of all, I know your concern is about personal legacies, right? The permanence of that, permanence of your memories, and your memories being your videos, your photos, and whatnot, when you're gone. But to me, I feel like, that's what we have as far, that's, things can get lost on the internet, but, Facebook, and we have this internet that collects everything. And it's this giant repository of data and information and memories and experience, and it's the only way that is going to disappear is the downfall of humanity, the downfall of a modern, technologically advanced society, and the likelihood of that happening within your lifetime, within my lifetime, is extremely minimal. I mean, you're talking about a cataclysmic, apocalyptic event for the internet to disappear. It's just very. That's my takeaway from it, and that's what that's what I think about. And I think it's kind of a comforting thought, because, despite Hollywood and despite what we would like, as far as zombie apocalypses and whatnot, and just to be clear, what's great about that is not about the massive death tolls, but the scrubbing of the useless bullshit in our lives, to get back to basics, survival, and the things that doing, and once you have your survival, you once you have that security and that safety, you do what you need, you maintain, and you make yourself happy, and there's a beauty to that. But anyway, the notion that the only way we would lose the digital memory of ourselves is through the apocalyptic is through an apocalyptic event. It's comforting because, like I was saying, despite what Hollywood may want us to think, despite what we hope comes December 21st or whatever, that's the reality is that that's not going to happen. It's really not going to happen. The end of the world will come. It's going to come. But I mean, it's not in anybody's lifetime. Human race will die out before the world ends, and the human race will die out. Wow, this is a weird vlog. This is a weird one, but like I said, it's just about on a year, so maybe the timing's right for this fucking bullshit. I keep thinking, I want to go public with this channel. I want to take the wraps off, and I think I'm kind of close to that notion, to that idea of Crumbine. The Crumbine channel is the professional channel. This is the personal vlogging channel. You don't have to follow it, but it's there if you want. It's work. That's the problem. Doing more with the radio stations. I had this conversation, a surprising conversation, with the owner of the company, with Mr. Holler himself, as it were. The owner of the radio stations. Yeah, because we had a meeting about. My boss and I had a meeting with the radio stations 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I don't fucking know. This is why this week has been so exceptionally stressful, and it hasn't really been an issue so much as that I'm just providing the information as it's asked for, and the information is my analysis and opinion. And I'm providing this, so I don't feel like that's so much stressful, but the anxiety, the stress is what comes next, and the promise of the deluge, the responsibility, the expectations that are going to come with these radio stations and getting dumped in my lap. So yesterday at the late afternoon, Roger Holler asked about the outcome of the meeting, and I gave him a summary of my notes to Luke, and it was this premise of a core strategy, basically a core business strategy, content, sales strategy. The premise being, the idea of identifying a premise essentially so that you know what you're aiming for, so you know what direction you should be pointing your business. And I shared those details, some of my observations, some of my thoughts, and he seemed happy about the core point that, okay, well, if you have a premise, then you know where to point yourself. But I don't know that there's any benefit to that, because I don't know how long it takes. Based on what I've seen, it takes forever for them to say, this is where we're heading. We've got our Driver's Mart store that has no premise, that has no identity, and that's been the case for 2 years. So will this be, I deliver, a premise, I deliver a blueprint. How long will they take action on it? Will it be used? Will it be, and if it is, if that is the answer to the question that they don't know to ask, or what they're looking for, what does that mean for me? Anyway, on the way out of the office yesterday, right before the big anxiety fest, I talked to my boss and I said, just so you're aware, Roger talked to me, caught me in the kitchen, asked me about the meeting, so I gave him my summation, and my boss goes, "Oh, good, then I don't have to tell him." So that's what am I supposed to take away from that? Am I supposed to be excited? Am I supposed to be excited and anticipating what opportunities and potential lie within the radio stations? Because the reality is that it's just going to be a buttload of work. That I am ill-prepared to undertake at this current time. There's a cop right behind me, and I'm worried about the camera on the window. And that's never really been a problem before. I don't know if you can even see it from back there. That's all I have for this morning. I'm going to wait to turn the camera off until the gesture is not overly obvious to the cop behind me. I don't really think Florida or Orlando has any laws about I really don't think there's any kind of legal issue with having the camera set up and recording but it's still something that makes me nervous. Obviously, right? Isn't that the case? Sitting in traffic makes me nervous. Having a cop behind me while I'm shooting a car vlog, yeah, of course that'll make me a little nervous. So I'm a nervous pussy. Is following me. I'm going to stop here. Stay tuned. Stay creative.